Ladies and gentlemen, FTP Radio, Dash Radio, and Zo Wiliams, along with Twitch and Zoom and 15 other platforms. We got, what's the other one?
300 ENT.
300 ENT. We broadcasting live on my homie's channel right now. People, tell them who, because they channel be popping. They channel on the South Side be on one. Do you know, let me tell y'all, I got a legend in the building. He's a legend just because he's the son of a legend. That makes him a legend vicariously. This man is a legend by birth. I'm so happy to have this brother on. He's a genius, in my opinion, because I saw what he built. I was there in Atlanta. I saw what he built. He made it happen. He made it pop. And now his platform is the go-to platform in Atlanta. Don't play yourself. They going, hey, A&Rs, marketers, they all planning to go to his spot, just like they planning to go to V100. What is it, V100? Is it V100 or?
V103.
V103, right, with Frank Ski and them. They planning to come to y'all just like they planning to go to them. My man is,
absolutely,
ladies and gentlemen, Isaac Hayes III. Talk to us, man. Talk to us about the platform you built, the partnership you built with Dash, and tell everybody why you're the go-to space in Atlanta for media, for blowing artists up. Talk to me, man.
Well, I'm really excited that you guys did this. FTP Radio, Dash Radio, Zo, what you guys continue to do out there in LA. I'm honored to be a part of this and happy to be a part with the Dash family. Southside was a creation of mine after we branded Pure Soul on Dash. And I wanted something that reflected the pulse of where I thought that current hip hop was. And so, I passed it along to Ski and said, hey, I want my own station. I want my own station that plays Southern hip hop and R&B and today's hits. And he's like, let's do it. And so we partnered and created Southside, and we've carved out a great little niche in here in Atlanta because we play what we want, we say what we want, we do what we want, unfiltered, and people respect that. And we have so many great personalities on our station. Even through COVID, we've been continuing to, broadcast and continue to do our shows. And so to even be part of this moment in history and being able to talk to you about what's going on down here in ATL and around the country is great. So I'm happy to be here.
Man, appreciate you, brother. Let's just get right to the real. If American society is as corrupt as we believe it to be, how then can we tell the youth to participate in a political system that's just as corrupt? How do we change the game? Because everybody talks about legislation being the way to change the game. But if the system itself is corrupt, then how can we go to the very corrupt thing for the answer? Talk to me about that. Talk to me about that dichotomy.
Okay. Let me get a little
Wax a little philosophical, yes.
No, not philosophical. Just let me. Okay. There was a time where the Bulls in Chicago, they sucked. And then they got a good owner, they got a good general manager, and then they drafted Michael Jordan, and they became this championship team that won 6 titles. So if you look at the system being corrupt or terrible or bad or they're losers, it's about the personnel. And it's all the way down to the players, the coach, the owner, the GM. So all of those systems, all those positions are just like governmental positions, just like president, just like your mayor, your city council, your police officers. So any system can change. It's about what you put into it. And so having to tell the youth that if you have a defeatist attitude about changing your life and your circumstances, then the justice system is going to continue to happen. Elections will continue to happen with or without you. And so, yeah, if you want to be a part of that, you got to really get in here and just commit to being consistent about voting and making change in your life. And down here in Atlanta, I think we've done a really good job about exercising our vote to put people in positions of power that work on behalf of our community. And so and I ask people to explore and look at the legacy of this city with regards to how, especially people of color, have carved out a niche for themselves with economic opportunity and progress. So I mean, it can change. I mean, you gotta really, you gotta get in here and stay consistent. This is a moment, but we can't. I think this is the one time that I'm not like. I don't think the protests should stop at all. Honestly, if I had my way with it, they would go all the way till November 4th through the entire summer, every day. Not until we drive Donald Trump out of office and start to purge the racists and the bigotry and the corruption from our country, one election at a time.
Got it. And I'm not saying that you're Mr. Political Pundit, but I think Donald Trump isn't the only one that needs to be driven out of office. If you could drive some more people out of office, who would it be? Let's keep it popping. Let's keep it popping.
Let's get rid of Mitch McConnell. Let's get rid of Mitch McConnell. Let's get rid of Lindsey Graham. Let's get rid of
you got something though, I know.
Steve King just lost his election. So Steve King lost his election to a Republican. That's another racist. I mean, I think anybody that has been consistent in siding with the president of the United States throughout this presidency, who hasn't broke it all, get rid of them, because they are complicit in his racism and his cruelty and his evil. So they are co-conspirators in the attempted destruction of what a democracy looks like.
I wish my son was here. He just graduated from Fresno State. He didn't get a chance to walk. He didn't get a chance to do his whole little graduation thing, but he just graduated from Fresno State with his philosophy degree. And he always says, Dad, I have a solution for Black people. We should create an interest group, a political interest group where we get lobbyists involved so we can push some legislation through that would protect our community. What would it take for us to be able to pull something like that off undetected?
I don't think undetected we don't have to be covert in our intention. I think we know that the elections in this country, especially on the Democratic side, we always are the difference maker in the wins or the losses. You can't win an election in the Democratic Party without Black people. You just simply can't. So there's a value to our vote, right? Our vote has a value that we do always exercise. And we don't exercise in the appropriate time. And what I mean by that is, let's take a moment like now. Let's take a moment with Biden and Trump, and they're going to run in the fall, and whoever's the president of the United States, that's cool. But in my mind, and this is not to be even so political, I'm not even worried about Biden. I don't even think Biden is the change agent that America really is going to have. I think Biden is a stabilizer. I look at America as like a company that has a terrible CEO. Our stock price is plummeting. Company morale's at an all-time low. Profits are falling. The company's in disarray, and we need an experienced veteran CEO to come and stabilize this country.
Right.
After him, the president after Biden, we have more than enough time to take our agenda, our Black agenda, our police reform, our criminal justice reform, our economic reform, our environmental reform, everything to that president, to that candidate now. And for me, and if I was a betting man, I would say Gavin Newsom is that guy. So if it were me,
the governor of
absolutely.
Yeah.
If it was me, I would start talking to Gavin, because I feel like with the utmost certainty that Gavin Newsom is going to run for president in 4 years. And
Mhm.
so therefore we need to take that momentum and talk to him now. I think we rush. I think we tend to rush and rush at the last, we're literally in the fourth quarter.
Fourth quarter.
Uh, we're in the fourth quarter of the game. It's like 6 minutes left. We don't have time to decide that Biden is not the guy,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And especially with what's going on in this country right now, we have the attention and the eyes and ears of the world, the momentum of the world behind us. There
Mhm.
are protests in Paris. There are protests in South Africa,
South
protests in
Africa.
New
Yep.
Zealand. I think all 50 states and 18 countries have participated in the Black Lives Matter movement protest, which makes it the largest civil rights protest in history.
In history. But let me come back to this thought, this notion.
Okay.
Um, this is the 99th anniversary of Tulsa, Oklahoma. I think,
Hmm?
what was that? The 1st or the 2nd of June, one of them. 1st or 2nd of June was the 99th anniversary of Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Hmm.
And the reason why I'm gonna position this question to you in this way is because how do we do business with a group of people with a system that created Jim Crow, that destroyed Tulsa, Oklahoma, that destroyed Rosewood in Florida,
Hmm.
that red line, that Jim Crowed us to death, that private prison us to death? How do we still have faith in a system that is clearly on the side of our marginalization and our suppression? How do we then re-engage when throughout every decade we can point to something
Hmm.
that says this system is totally against our coalition, or our coalescing, our rising, and our ability to
Hmm.
work together with each other, for each other, and build ourselves up? What can you tell me right now that would make me believe that this system is okay with our rising?
I don't think it is, but I partially put that on that certain. I don't. I put the circumstance of inaction on us. Here's why: we are very emotional, and we have a right to be angry,
Mhm.
but we let our anger cloud our focus. Right?
Mhm.
We consistently check out. So if you the difference in the justice system now, and I think the justice system moving forward, is you cannot demand justice without participating in justice, right? So
Mhm.
let's take some small examples. We have the demonization and the stigmatizing of police to begin with.
Mhm.
So as a culture, we don't even like law enforcement. So we move away from it rather into it.
But
We
we
should
don't
be
like the
becoming
doctor
more.
either. We don't like the
Huh?
doctor either.
I know, but what I'm saying is we should saturate those areas. But see, the thing about it is, I guarantee you, a lot of us would feel a lot more comfortable going to a black doctor the same way. We need to infiltrate and saturate the justice system. We need we need 50,000 black officers tomorrow to
Mhm.
join the police force. Now, all of those officers are not going to be innocent of police brutality, but we know, at least by race, that circumstance won't exist. And police brutality, even with what went on in Atlanta, it even gave Atlanta its own mission, that we have our own problems with police brutality, with the
Mhm.
two young college students that were ripped from the car and tasered, and all six officers were fired, and they have been arrested and charged.
Mhm.
So we have our own problems, but
Shout out
we
to
we
the
have to
Atlanta
stop.
mayor for doing that. The Atlanta mayor did that, right? Shout out to the
But
Atlanta
she,
mayor.
yeah, Keisha fired two of the officers and put the rest on desk duty. The district attorney, Paul Howard, he's the one that has the authority to charge. The mayor doesn't have the authority to charge police officers or anything, but she did what she did to the limit of her power. She fired two officers and put four on desk duty, and Paul Howard decided to charge all six, and then they were all six fired.
Mhm.
So I think to convince us that the justice system will work, we have to convince ourselves to be part of the justice system and stop avoiding the justice system.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? The
Okay.
people like the attorneys that are representing like Chris Stewart and Benjamin Crump, they participate in the justice system. Imagine if we didn't have them. Who would represent George's family right now? My point is we need those people that infiltrate the system to be allies on that side of the law for us.
Right. Now, what if I take your point further? The point that you made earlier about the protest going all the way to November 4th. What if the protest continues until there is a total recontextualization of the political system? Because to me, joining a sick system is not a measure of health to me. And I
True.
understand what you're saying. I'm saying what you're saying works to a limited degree. But if we don't
Well,
change the deeply rooted beliefs that are
mhm,
counterproductive for our ascension as a people, then we're
mhm.
participating in a game as opposed to participating in a real plan that will allow us to experience liberation here on this soil.
So what depending on what well depending on what the illness is and meaning by the justice system, I don't think it's a terminal illness. I think it is a chronic disease that can be cured by the right type of antibodies, the right type of medicine. And I
Yes,
think and I
yes,
think black people are, I think, but what I mean by that is though, we have to be the medicine. Like
mhm,
we are the cure to our own ills.
right.
You understand what I mean?
Mhm.
And so and we have to participate like take this energy from all these protests and these marches, right? You have to take that to the voting booth. We have to connect the two. We have to take that, keep that same energy, right? That
Mhm.
same fervor, that same vigor, that same like if all those people that are in the streets right now take that same energy plus more to the voting booth, we can do whatever we want in this country. Whatever we want,
Right.
whatever we want to do. We can that and that's what I try to explain people is America was not built for us, right?
Mhm.
But in theory, what happened was when they were giving these speeches about free men and all men were created equal and so on and so forth, they weren't even thinking about black people. We weren't even a thought in their mind. We were considered three-fifths of a man, whatever, you're my slave or whatever.
Mhm.
But when amendments happen and you bring people into the game, you invite people into the game, right? Well, in America for everybody, immigrants, everybody's welcome. We're all the same. Yeah. So once they let you play that game, that's where you get Black Wall Streets because and I'll say this to be not anti-integration, but integration was kind of a dismantling of a Black power structure in this company. I mean, this country, meaning like what gives other cultures the advantage in the United States of America is language
Let-
because they
let-
are allowed to build communities based off their language, right? So
you know, I
when you're
got
Korean, you got to have a Korean grocery store, Korean doctor, Korean schools, Korean lawyer.
right.
So it creates this economy based off language. We
Right.
speak English just like white people speak English. So therefore, we wind up at the bottom of their entire system.
Right.
So segregation was the only thing that forced us to really create our own businesses, schools, doctors, lawyers, banks, all that.
I got to ask you this, man. Which one will we
Mhm.
come up with a vaccine for first? Racism or the coronavirus?
More definitely coronavirus.
So,
There is no vaccine from racism, but we have to take America, right,
mhm.
and take it apart and put it back together and pull out the pieces that have made this country run the way it runs. And we have to be intentional about it. And it's not going to be easy. You know what
But
I mean?
racism, just remember, racism makes our collectivizing and unification and collaboration seem to those in power as a terrorist act. You have to
Oh,
remember, you have to remember, those in power, they don't really want to see us rise as a collective. You're right.
Absolutely.
You're right by saying, yo, come on in, and America, the immigrants, everybody. Yes, you have an opportunity. By them doing that and not really meaning it. See, white people got to get over the fact that we're magical. Like my brother Jesse Williams said, we are magical. And if you leave us the fuck alone, we're going to get together and we're going to rise up and do some amazing shit. But when we do amazing shit, white people tend to go, fuck is that?
Right.
Oh, hell no. Nah. You can't do amazing shit around me and I ain't magic. They got to get over their envy of us. And that's in the political system. That's in the educational system. That's in the tech. There's a technological gap. There's an economic gap. There's an education gap. There's a wealth gap. There's all that shit because of racism. We have to kill racism, bruh.
But we have to cure ourselves. We have to cure ourselves from racism too. Listen to what I mean, though.
Let me hear this.
The PTSD that Black people have brainwashed into thinking our pathway to success is breaking the barriers or defeating the oppressive barriers that white people have set against us. That is an exhaustive process, right? And so I use Atlanta as an example a lot of times because if you take Tyler Perry, for instance, he did not go to Hollywood and beg to be a part of that industry, but somehow he's one of the most powerful. Actually, him and Will Packer are the two most powerful Black men in Hollywood, and they live nowhere near Hollywood. Where they do live is around the epicenter of Black culture and Black people. And that energy allows them to create content, infrastructure, studios, movies, things that we respond to, and that as free people we're allowed to buy, consume, market, promote. So it's our own economy. So to do that, we have to disconnect from trying to white barriers and start working with one another. There's nothing stopping every athlete, every Black athlete in the country from walking out of the NBA, the NFL, hypothetically, and starting their own league, a Black one. There's nothing stopping us right now. Nothing. There's literally nothing stopping Black people. There's literally nothing stopping from every executive, every artist, every writer, producer leaving the industry and starting your own. Every tech company starting your own.
Isaac, this is what you've done. You've got me so flustered and off-centered. We done went over time, brother. I don't agree with everything, but let me just say, man, I appreciate the dialogue, man. I appreciate you jumping on here and sharing with me, brother. Thank you so much. And how do they tune in to you?
Southside on Dash Radio, and you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's at IsaacH3. That's my name, ISAACHAYES, and the number 3.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, fam.
Thank you, man.
All right, deuces.
Yes, sir.